Florida, and they are located in Lake Worth, Florida. They have won awards for clinical excellence in mental health and addiction. Campus Recovery is proud to serve clients seeking addiction and mental health services. Campus Recovery offers medication-assisted treatment and clinical services which are provided by master's-level clinicians who are licensed or seeking licensure. The facility has a leadership team with extensive mental health, addiction, trauma, and co-occurring disorders experience and is one of the highest credentialed outpatient facilities in the country. All of Campus Recovery levels of care include individual counseling, group counseling, medical and psychiatric care, case management, and ancillary services. Their partial hospitalization program level of care helps individuals to reintegrate back into daily living. This level of care typically occurs after completion of stabilization, which typically occurs at detox or a residential program. At this level of clinical services, individuals will receive 6 days of clinical programming. Campus Recovery also offers programs such as outpatient care. Individual and group therapy sessions are also available. All of Campus Recovery therapists are highly trained, educated, and experienced in addiction and assigned to you for the entire program. Some of the topics discussed are relapse prevention, stress management, life skills, belief systems, and many other areas of addictions and mental health. Contact Campus Recovery today at 877-995-0102. That's 877-995-0102.
We are back now with more of the Ask the Experts radio show, proudly sponsored by board-certified family law attorney Tina Lewert of Lewert Law LLC, covering South Florida.
And we are back from our break. This is the Ask the Expert show. We're with you every Thursday. We have 7 shows, folks, around the country. So we're with you every Thursday from 6 to 7. The best time to have a talk show is during drive time. We have a new expert. We have been getting emails from our listeners for the last 2 to 3 years wondering why we don't do a recovery show. And you got to find the right company first, the right facility. You don't just stick someone with a recovery center up there. And I got to tell you, we found one with Campus Recovery Center. And the first person I spoke to who was with us tonight is Evan Frizzell. Hey, Evan.
Hey, how you doing, Steve?
Well, him and I have been going back and forth for, God, it seems like months.
Seems like forever.
And tonight's the first night we've ever got to meet. But the first night that Evan and I spoke, I got to tell you, he told me his story. And what I want to do with this show, Evan, is if we can touch one person, just one, each show, I am telling you, we have done what we set out to do.
Absolutely.
And you don't just work at recovery, campus recovery, but you also, how did you get started?
Yeah, so I, and again, thank you for having me on the
He's
show.
10 years old, so I mean.
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough to, decide to make the decision to go to treatment.
How hard was that?
It was really hard. I left, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm not from South Florida. So, coming down here, leaving everybody behind was not an easy bout.
Well, what made you come here?
I saw, it's actually a chance thing. I was in a previous treatment facility up north, and it was just so happened this was when COVID had happened in 2020. And I said, is there by chance any recovery in Florida? And my therapist at the time, her eyes lit up, and she said, oh, is there? So I wound up down here, and I was fortunate enough to get into campus recovery.
How'd you decide on campus?
For me, we're a smaller facility.
Yes.
So it allows us to be more intricate and more delicate with our clients. We get to know them more as well as their families, which is an amazing thing. Some facilities house anywhere from 60 to 120 people, whereas, like I said, we house about 37 to 40. And it just seemed like the right fit for me. At the time I was a little I was resistive to go there because I
Of
was like,
course.
I'm, no one wants to be in treatment. None of us
Right.
wind up in treatment because we make the right decisions. You know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
once I got into it, I told myself, from the very start, I don't want to be the what if guy. And what I mean by that is, there's different levels of care to treatment. You have detox and residential, you have PHP and IOP. Those are all different phases of treatment. And you can easily have the opportunity to get out of detox and res and just go home,
Just walk
and
out.
and you're good to go. And a lot of people at that point in their recovery think that they're good to go because they've been in the 30 days, they're clean, they feel better, and they're not going through withdrawals every day. But for me, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be the guy that, God forbid, something happened to me. I was the relapse. I didn't want to be the guy who was like, well, what if I would have did PHP? What if I would have did IOP? So I just did it. And when I got to campus recovery, it not only, led to, in my opinion, what really saved my life, but it also allowed me to unlock this part of myself that had I not gone there, I probably wouldn't have found. I had a lot of...
You ever think about where you could have been
all the time.
if it hadn't been for recovery?
All the time. I'm a big music guy. I love music. I've been playing music 10, 15 years. It's my passion, but, there's nothing better, in my opinion, than knowing that when my head hits the pillow at night, that I was able to contribute to help somebody out.
Wow. People don't realize if they don't drink or if they don't do drugs that, why can't you just stop doing it?
Yeah.
And, I was a smoker, and I got to tell you, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life.
Yeah.
And it was, to me, an accomplishment, but it's also accomplishment not going back to smoking, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
That's maybe even a bigger accomplishment.
Yeah. No, you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, what a lot of people don't understand is, and this is what I tell people about addiction, why don't you just put it on your phone and not touch it the whole day?
Okay.
Right? A lot of us, easier said done than others, but a lot of us can't do that.
Right.
So then when they say, well, I can't do that, I go, well, then how do you imagine a heroin addict who's been doing heroin for 10 years to simply just go, okay, I'm good. I don't want it anymore. It just doesn't work like that. Medical science has proven that a lot of the areas of the brain, including the prefrontal cortex, are highly compromised in active addiction, which is, obviously responsible for decision making.
Addiction's a disease.
Absolutely. And, I'll say why I believe it's a disease. And this is an ongoing debate, even with some of my family members, that I still have to this day. But I'll tell you this. If you locked me in a room, right, or any addict inside of a room, and you locked a normal person inside of a room, right, and you had a gunman there with a gun, right, and pressed against your head, the gunman said, all you have to do for me not to shoot you is not take that drink, not pick up that needle, whatever it may be. Right, the normal person, without hesitation, would go, oh, that's fine, I don't need the drink, right? An addict, however, why he or she might not choose to pick up that drink or do it, they're going to rationalize. They're going to think about it. They're going to start saying, well, what if the gun's not loaded? I bet you I could steal it out of his hand, So,
The mindset's different.
It's completely different. You manipulate, you hurt, you steal, and it doesn't matter if it's family or friends or whoever it may be. You'll take whatever you can from anybody you can if that gets in between you and your next fix.
I got to tell you, I am so jealous what you do, and I'm going to tell you why. I am a prayer counselor at Calvary Chapel, and after service, people come up to the altar for prayer, and I would say the number one reason people want prayer is addiction.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them, Evan, are want prayer for their children who are in jail now. And I think they wish that they would have asked for prayer a lot earlier in life. And, you don't want to get to that point. I see the after and how it's not just affecting you, it's affecting your friends, it's affecting your family. Yeah. What you do at recovery is you start from scratch, and I guess take baby steps, and it's an ongoing process.
It is. It's I like to tell people it's a lifelong marathon. There is no finish line. I always give the analogy of the finish line of recovery is dying sober. That's the finish line.
I have a friend who's been sober for 40 years, and she still brags about it. It's something to brag about. And you
Yeah.
think after 40 years, but it's like it never really goes away, does it?
No, because it's to each day their own. There's people, sadly, that all the time, 30 years clean, 20 years clean, 5 years clean, a couple months, whatever it may be, they could just slip up just like that, at the drop of a hat. And it's a sad thing, but like for me, for instance, I always tell people, drugs and alcohol weren't my problem. They were my solution. The problem lied within myself, whether if that was the untreated grief, whatever it may be that someone goes through. A lot of the times, there's underlying factors that contribute to someone's usage, right? And for some people, not. Some people just, they could simply, I could tell you 5 people off the bat right now that would just say, oh, not one day, just one day I smoked weed back in the day, and then all of a sudden I was like, why not heroin? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was never like that, fortunately. And I think it also was different. My father, he passed away from fentanyl in 2012, and I often think about, and I just got asked this the other day.
Oh my God, it's all we hear about now.
Yeah, all the time. Fentanyl is a scary drug. It will take you so quick. And
I was
it's cheap.
thinking the other thing was that, all this fentanyl is coming across our borders now. And of course, they're not doing anything about it. But
Right.
you hear about deaths from 10 people take fentanyl. How many are going to die from it?
Depends on the amount, but
Okay.
I can tell you this, and I might be a little bit wrong on the math, but I know the lethal dosage of fentanyl compared to like morphine or heroin is not even half. I mean, it's that slim. And the thing is you can get prescribed fentanyl at a hospital. My dad, he wasn't a heroin user, which obviously fentanyl, there's no such thing as pure heroin anymore.
Is
It's
that
all
addicting?
fentanyl.
Is fentanyl addicting?
Oh, it's in my opinion the highest addictive substance there is.
And we have all this coming across our borders.
Oh yeah, and from somebody that might be selling the fentanyl, it was a game changer because when they found out when they put fentanyl in heroin, they could make more money, they could sell it for less, and people would get twice as high. And now they're addicted to 2 substances and not just one.
Before we go to break, do a lot of people, did they start off with marijuana? Is that just you keep hearing like, well, I started with marijuana, then I started going up.
Yeah.
Someone said, it's
A lot of
marijuana is not
people.
going to hurt you.
A lot of people, yeah, and that's simply because you get to the state when you start smoking weed where what you don't know at that time that you later realize is that you're getting high, right? You're altering your state of mind. Anything that alters the state of mind means you're getting high, right? So at a certain point for an addict like myself, there comes a line where it's like, okay, I've seen what this has had to offer, and this feels great. But when you have a good buddy of yours you've known for 10 years go, hey man, I got these pills or this. Imagine without, your mind just goes, well, I wonder what that feels like.
Right.
And then you've already started the path of destruction.
Your facility, first of all, it's really nice. I have not been inside, but do people stay there?
Yeah. So our 2 levels of care that we offer is called PHP and Iop, and that the PHP stands for Partial Hospitalization Program, and the Iop stands for Intensive Outpatient. And what those 2 programs consist of is we're getting clients that have already properly medically detoxed from their drug of choice, or if it's a mental health client that is properly already been medically cleared.
Because you deal with mental health too.
Yeah, no, we're licensed in mental health in the state of Florida as well as substance abuse, so we treat both. And so they do live with us. The PHP level of care, they come in on average, it's about a 30-day program, and we have it broken out in 2 phases. Usually with most facilities, after you get done with your detox and res, the PHP program is another 30-day period of pure blackout, which means no phone, you can't leave, nothing like that. Ours is broken down into 2-week segments, roughly, depending. It's like a case-to-case basis on how the client is doing with their therapist and are they meeting the requirements. But when they get to that second phase, they're able to leave property. They can have their phone. They can start looking for jobs. They're required to go to meetings. So we hold them accountable, but what we're doing is we're slowly giving their devices back and going, okay, we want to see what you can do, and we just went out.
Detox as rough as you see on TV?
I think it depends on the individual. For me, I detoxed off alcohol, and towards the end of my run, I was drinking about a 30-pack of beer and like a half gallon of whiskey a day.
Wow.
And the first couple days you're there, sure, yeah, it was rough for me. And to be honest,
Did you think you had a problem?
No, I didn't think I had a problem.
It's everybody else, right?
No. It got to a point that where I knew I had a problem is where, and this is what I tell people. If you want to know if you have a problem to a substance or whatever it be, because you can be addicted to food, whatever it may be, right? I always tell people this. There's a good, three fingers that you could have. One would be, does it affect your finances? The other would be, does it affect your health? And the other is, does it affect your family? If it affects any of those or all three, you probably have a problem. Because I, along with a lot of other drug users, can attest that if I could be a successful drug user, I wouldn't have wound up in treatment.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's the detox. Mine luckily wasn't too bad, but I know I've seen and experienced with seeing others that I was in with. It was pretty rough.
So I like the fact that patients can't say, "Well, you don't understand."
Yeah,
You've been there.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Hey, we got to go to break. The phone number. Write this down. Maybe you have a relative, because I've learned that people from other states come to Campus Recovery Center. You don't just have to live here. The phone number is 877. Please write this down. 995-0102. That's 995-0102. They're in Lake Worth. When we come back, we're going to talk a lot more about Campus Recovery Center. We'll be right back.
Campus Recovery is considered one of the top mental health and addiction treatment centers in South Florida, and they are located in Lake Worth, Florida. They have won awards for clinical excellence in mental health and addiction. Campus Recovery is proud to serve clients seeking addiction and mental health services. Campus Recovery offers medication-assisted treatment and clinical services which are provided by master's-level clinicians who are licensed or seeking licensure. The facility has a leadership team with extensive mental health, addiction, trauma, and co-occurring disorders experience, and is one of the highest credentialed outpatient facilities in the country. All of Campus Recovery levels of care include individual counseling, group counseling, medical and psychiatric care, case management, and ancillary services. Their partial hospitalization program level of care helps individuals to reintegrate back into daily living. This level of care typically occurs after completion of stabilization, which typically occurs at detox or a residential program. At this level of clinical services, individuals will receive 6 days of clinical programming. Campus Recovery also offers programs such as outpatient care. Individual and group therapy sessions are also available. All of Campus Recovery therapists are highly trained, educated, and experienced in addiction and assigned to you for the entire program. Some of the topics discussed are relapse prevention, stress management, life skills, belief systems, and many other areas of addictions and mental health. Contact Campus Recovery today at 877-995-0102. That's 877-995-0102.
We are back now with more of the Ask the Experts radio show, proudly sponsored by board-certified family law attorney Tina Lewert of Lewert Law LLC, covering South Florida.
The Expert Show, we're with you every Thursday night from 6 to 7 with experts in the areas of health, legal, home improvement, and financial. We have a new expert tonight, and I hope you're enjoying and learning as much as I am. And Evan will be with us each month. Evan represents Campus Recovery Center. We're talking about getting sober. I mean, Evan, he's been there before, and oh my God, what he's done with his life. And you can do the same thing also. Evan, what's the most challenging part of getting sober?
I think in my experience, the most challenging part is just letting go and setting those boundaries within yourself and stepping outside your comfort zones. You know, as human beings, we're creatures of comfort. What we crave most is comfort and instant gratification, right? And that's why a lot of addicts go to the needle, to the drink, is because that substance will give them that gratification right then and there, you know. Whereas when you get sober, you know, you kind of have to start dealing like, wow, this is why I was using so much. Excuse me. And you have to deal with, you know, oh, this is what made me treat this person this way, or whatever it may be. So, you know, the most challenging part is really just, like I said, it's a lifelong marathon, and you have to set the boundaries with yourself. You have to be honest. It takes the most honesty with yourself than you'll ever be with anybody in your entire life. And I think that it shows a lot about your character development whenever you get to a certain point, because, you know, after a year goes by and you've been clean, you kind of take a step back and you look at yourself and go, wow, like, I didn't realize how big of a change had happened until I've noticed these things, whether it be, you know, remended relationships with my mother or whatever it may be. So
Your family's still in Cincinnati?
yeah, so all of my mother and most of my family are still in Cincinnati and Dayton, Ohio. I
They
do
gotta
have
be so proud of you.
Yeah, they are. They're really proud, and I feel like the luckiest man in the world because, you know, I put them through a lot of stuff, and, you know, to be where I am today, it's really surreal because, you know, I had this weird thing in my head, right? You know, where, you know, it'll be 10 years this year since my dad passed from
Sorry.
fentanyl, and I think about all the time, like, you know, you know, he needed someone in his life to just say, I'm here, I hear you, I feel you, what do you need? And so
We take those things for granted.
yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people need, but they don't want to say, is they just need someone in their life to go, hey man, listen, I'm here, what do you need, what can I do? And, you know, I firmly believe that at some point, you know, or at some part of me believes, you know, if my dad would have had a little bit more of that, probably would have changed a little bit what had happened. So,
You know, God is the most important thing in my life. And, you know, I only get to spend 2 or 3 minutes with people who come in and pray. And I really believe prayer and God is the most important thing. Do you use that at recovery, or do you stay away from
yes.
godly things?
So the beauty of our program as well is we're not like faith-based, right?
So you're non-denominational.
But we encourage all of our clients, whatever they believe in, we want to support them,
Okay.
right? I'm a Christian, right? But, you know, if someone was to tell me their higher power is nature and that's what helps them get sober, hey, listen, if it helps you get 50 years sober and you're finding a oneness within yourself, then let's do it, you know?
What was can you think of the one thing that really helped you with your recovery
Yeah.
at campus?
I think specifically for me, it was, you know, I was a part of, thankfully, a good community where I had people around me, men and women who were my age and also older, who would call me out when I wasn't doing something right. And also, you know, you have these scheduled groups you have to go to, the requirement as part of the program. And some of those groups, you go in and you just kind of process like where you're at mentally, what's going on, what your plans are. And I can't tell you how many days in that room, and those who are in the program with me can attest to this, that I got told to just shut my mouth because I could never seem to talk enough, you know. And so that's what helped me. And, you know, obviously the one-on-one therapy with my therapist, you know, she was amazing. And it was, yeah.
I tell you this, I can't even wait for our next show. This is so amazing what campus recovery does, and I can feel the passion that you have, and I'm sure the listeners can. We've only got a minute left. Why should I come to your facility?
I'd sum it up in this. If you want a more delicate touch of recovery with more of a one-on-one and community uplifted environment. That's what we have to offer. And instead of giving you a plan, we want you to come to us with yours, and we want to help you achieve that.
Wow. So it's called Campus Recovery Center. Let me give you the phone number and write this down. I don't care if you've got someone who has a problem, who needs help, even nothing else is working. You want to call 877-995-0102. That's 877-995-0102. Recovery Center. It's Campus Recovery Center. They're in Lake Worth. And I got to tell you, this could change your whole life. I mean, I'm looking at Evan over here. I'm so glad Evan's going to be back with us next month. We got to get out of here. We'll be back with you next week, next Thursday, from 6 to 7 with more Ask the Experts. I bet there's a lot of people out there going, thank you, Evan, because I sure am.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you so much.
877-995-0102. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for tuning in today to Ask the Experts, sponsored by board-certified family law attorney Tina Lord of Lord Law, LLC. Join host Steve-O again next Thursday for more interviews with the top experts in South Florida in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement on Ask the Experts.